Okay. How's it and welcome to Look at That View.
How's it and welcome to Look at That View. I'm quite excited for this video because it's been nearly 2 years my partner and I have been talking about the idea, doing loads of research, and we're eventually at the point where we are putting our dreams to reality and designing our Dream Defender. Basically planning on doing a 6-month road trip next year, roughly around March. We want to go through Europe, Egypt, and possibly Turkey as well, just to combat not being able to stay in Europe in one go for longer than 3 months. This vehicle that we're going to design is going to be our home, it's going to be our base, and also our biggest investment and first ever new car. So today I'm going to jump onto Land Rover's Configurator to build the exact Defender that we are going to order. And it's exciting that we're at this stage because it's taken so long, loads of research, getting excited, ups and downs and deciding what to go for. So this isn't just for looks. Every choice we've made has a purpose and needs to contribute to the full package, because nothing is cheap, and as most people know, Land Rovers certainly are not cheap, especially if you're looking at new. So from engine to roof rack to accessories to what it's going to look like on the inside. We've also thought that we can't just put a massive investment only for 6 months. We've got to consider what the vehicle is going to be like when we come back, and if it's useful for the future, if we're going to hang on to it. So there's a lot of factors, and hopefully as we go through the configurator today, we'll talk over some of those. So yeah, let's jump in and I'll take you through exactly what we're choosing and why we're choosing it and how the dream is finally becoming a reality. Cool, let's go. So firstly, we have to load the configurator. So from my experience, I've done this quite a few times and it is very temperamental. There we go, sign it, order yours online. Please excuse the background, we are renovating and selling the house, so it is what it is. Brilliant, so let's go to defining, designing, explore. We click on that, why not? It's on the main page. So build and order, just click on build and order. Some things have changed. Obviously, as we've been doing this over the past year and a bit, Land Rover's brought out different variants of each model and changed their website ever so slightly. But yeah, so first we start off with the body style. I love that there's a nice big display here as you go along, and it's actually working, it's actually showing us, which is great. So with the different sizes and body styles, so we've got the Defender Octa, which, if anyone doesn't know about, it is an absolute beast. With the V8 engine in, it's absolutely incredible. I actually saw one in the showroom not too long ago and it looks really, really cool. But that's a little bit out of the budget, starting at 148 grand. Then we have our Defender 90, which is 2-door or 3-door, however you look at it. And then you've got the famous Defender 110 and 130. We're not looking at any of the hardtop editions, but yeah, so we spent a lot of time trying to decide whether or not we'll end up with a Defender 110 or 130. So because we're going to be doing overlanding, and the idea is to live out the car for at least 6 months, and hopefully we do it for longer or get to do it more regular. But yeah, got a plan for what we can at the moment. And the idea was that the 130 would definitely give us more space. So we've actually gone to the different showrooms and we've sat in the Defender at the back, and just try to kind of digest the size and if it was worthwhile. So I will be honest, I do think that the 130 is a great size. I think it's actually the perfect size for overlanding. But considering that we want to take it off-road quite a bit, I was a bit concerned about the rear overhang. Basically the departure angle, it does vary slightly in the 130 versus the 110. And then also you've got the price differences, and then also you've got different configurations on the interior. It is a slightly heavier car, slightly bigger car, and you don't actually get any more carrying capacity and actual weight to the vehicle, but the vehicle can't actually take any more weight. So you've got the same carrying capacity as a 110, but just more space. At the end of the day, considering budget and also wanting to do a lot more off-roading with it, we have settled back, surprisingly, on the 110, because this will allow us to add some more of the fancy options that we want later on to keep and stay kind of within the budget. And also, it does look cool. I mean, the 110 Defender is what it's designed for. The 130 does look a little elongated. It's still a gorgeous car, but we think 110, the sacrifice we're going to make in losing that extra space, I think we can make up somewhere, whether it goes on the roof or on the back seats. The back seats are going to go down, or we feel like we can make it work. It'd just be about packing smart. So we've ended up going with the 110 Defender, so we'll select that. And yes, going down to the model. So you've got different, if you've ever had a look at the different standards or ever seen a Defender, you'll see sometimes they have SE or S or HSE. We've currently got an Evoque, which is an S, and I always thought it stands for Sport, but it stands for the standard model. Then we've got an X-Dynamic SE, X-Dynamic HSE, Defender X, which comes with a V8 engine, a Carpathian edition, and then you've got a few other ones that you can go crazy with. We have had a look at most options. I really wanted a V8 engine, and we will get to engines, but when you're designing it, and also whether this being a 2026 model or 2025, when we were looking at it earlier, you can't go for the powerful V8 engine, which is the 525, without going for the Defender X. And as you can see, when you click on the Defender X, it starts from 95 grand rather than 74. And as appealing as it is, and obviously it does, Defender X does come with a lot of the stuff we ended up adding, it still was more expensive to go with that option. And then considering it will be a V8 engine, so it will sound beautiful, but economically it probably won't fit in our lifestyle and budget. And it's good to dream big, but we want to make the dream a reality. So we have settled with the Defender X-Dynamic HSE. So when you click on them, they do give you a little description of what it includes, but it does include a lot more. It's just kind of highlighting some of the differences between the HSE versus the SE. So yeah, you can click on the little information icons, and that will give you a little bit more of a lowdown of what comes with the HSE. I've been back and forth between these, comparing the different options to see what was more financially beneficial. Also got to consider worst case scenario, if we do have to resell it, if we can't afford when we come back to continue keeping it, we looked at what would be the better resale value. And from some research, it is more beneficial to have a vehicle that comes out with all the specs, for example HSE, rather than getting an SE and then speccing out afterwards or through the process. So and we worked out the different budgets between the two, and they kind of work out about the same, so it made sense to go with the HSE. It had everything we wanted on. Then we've got 3 engine options. So depending on the size and the model you choose, you might get more or less engine options. With this, we've got 3. We've got our D350 diesel engine, we've got our D350, and as well as our plug-in electric hybrid. So when you click on each one, you can see their horsepower output, their torque, the torque's not on there, it is on, but later, after much back and forth, and gonna have to miss out on the V8 engine. Yeah, practicality wise, we've gone with a very powerful diesel. So we have decided and chosen the diesel D350, D standing for diesel, D350 mild hybrid. I've actually test driven D350. It was in a Land Rover Defender Outbound, which is the 130, but it doesn't have glass panels right at the back. That's the easiest way to see the difference. It was impressive. I think that's what sold me on it versus the V8. The diesels have won me over recently, and having driven that one and also hearing the sound of it and feeling the torque kick in and the pull and the fact that it does 0 to 60 in 6.1 seconds, considering the size and the weight of the vehicle, I think that's quite sufficient. I think that's fine. So yeah, and also considering the miles per gallon, I think this one was nearly 30 miles per gallon. There we go. Yeah, so 32 miles per gallon, probably more realistic, like 26 to 30, which considering I think the V8 was said it's 19, so probably more realistic around maybe 15 to 19, and doing plus probably 20,000 miles in 6 months. That's kind of what our road trip is going to look like. This is definitely the more affordable option in the long term run. So then we go on to accessory packs. We have decided not to go with any of them. So you can click again on the information and tell you what each one comes with. So we've got the Explorer pack here, got your raised air intake, your decorative part on the bonnet, classic mud flaps. And to be fair, we have actually chosen those two later. We'll be honest, we've priced these accessories up. I do love the Expedition roof rack, but I want one that's slightly different, slightly stronger, and has more mounting points, so it won't look as pretty as this one. So if you do like the look and you just want to pop a roof tent on or something basic, it is a good one to go for. But you can spec that at the end. I think it's £1,600. So when you're looking at a £4,600 pack, you've got the ladder, which is about £1,000 by itself, the box, which is about £900 by itself, especially if you're going to go for the black one. And then the classic mud flaps about 200, raised air intake about 900. These are all on the Defender website prices. So I can see how it adds up quickly, but I don't think getting the pack is giving you any bonus or any massive discount. You'd have to probably check yourself, but we are looking at getting possibly one of these or maybe both aftermarket, and you can get them significantly cheaper, at least half price. And I've seen loads of good reviews, they work pretty much the same. So yeah, if you really want that look and money is a factor, then I would suggest doing some research in maybe an aftermarket version, and seeing if you're happy with that before committing to buying it on Land Rover, because it's just one of the accessories that I don't think you have to get through them, I personally. And I do like to get everything official if I can, and that just, yeah, where it's £900 per ladder and I can get it for £500, it's a big difference. So yeah, and then adventure pack. I mean, it looks like it doesn't have what we got. Glossy wheel arch, cool. Mud flaps. Haven't been through these since 26 was released. Scuff plates, carrier box again. Don't know why that's there twice. Maybe it's a glitch, but that's something we selected. Yeah, so for £4,000. We did not want the portable rinse system or the integrated air compressor. We're going to get one fitted aftermarket under the bonnet and from ARB ideally. And the portable rinse system, quite handy if you go out with, if you got animals and take your dogs and go out and it's muddy, pulls a rinse down or rinse down some boxes that got dirty for some reason over here. Fair enough. It is quite a cool little system. I've seen it in operation, but again, not fit for what we wanted, so therefore we have gone against that one, because we're going to kit the back out ourselves and we've got to make it fit for purpose to live out of. Yeah, we can't sacrifice the space and little things like that. We've got the urban pack, so yeah, there's a few little features. These glossy black wheel arches are kind of like stick-ons, so you can get them aftermarket. At the moment I haven't found ones that are great, but I think they're only now really becoming a thing, so there probably will be more. But they just stick on the original wheel arch like that, just to give it a bit more protection if you're going past shrubbery or bushes or twigs or sticks sticking out, which is quite common if you're actually taking it off-road. It does make the vehicle look a little bit beefier, which is kind of what we're going for. But even with that being said, we have not selected any of these packs, so anything we have added from the packs we've done separately. As for colours, and 2026 lineup, they have added or adjusted the colours slightly. I think they added this one, is it this one here? Borasco Grey for $895. I always find it funny how you have to pay so much extra for the paintwork on. And I feel like 900 quid is a fair bit extra. But yeah, it is Land Rover. So we have to be prepared. I mean, it's a cool color. I've actually seen, I think it's come up with the Range Rover Sport SVR. I think that color was already with them for a year or so, or maybe longer. So they've eventually brought it over to the Defender lineup. Oh, it looks so cool. Anyway, and then they brought out a different variant of the green, which if you've watched any of the, or seen any of the 2026 model presentations or anything, they do promote the green quite a bit. It is quite a cool color. But you know, for us, we have gone with the Gondwana stone. We wanted something that was slightly unique, but still a color, still stood out. A color that we thought would go well with, you know, off-roading quite often. To be fair, I don't think, besides probably the anniversary color, which everyone to their own, I don't like. All the colors work, even the black, I mean, and the Carpathian grey, all grey colors. But yeah, so personal preference, we've gone with that one. As you can see, it adds a little bit of a price, brilliant. But we've also done some research into the next option, which is the PPF, or the matte protection film, or PPF being paint protection film. We want it. We want the Land Rover to be protected. I'm the type of person that when I buy a phone, it doesn't come out the box unless it falls onto a screen guard and then into a cover. And I kind of want the same situation for this, because we want to take it off-road. An idea, I feel that if it's well protected, there's a good chance we'll use it off-road. We want to see what it's capable of, and we love the outdoors, so we want to really take it off-road. And considering we are getting this brand new, it'll be our first brand new car, I want it to be protected as best as possible. We are very much open to the fact that it's probably going to get scrapes and things, because that's what we want to do with it. We want to really test it. But at the same time, we want to do our best to look after it where possible. So we've been really looking into this matte protective film. Our outcome is that this is significantly one of those things that is better to do aftermarket, if you are okay with that. As in, you're okay with it coming out of the design, collecting it, and then finding a reputable dealer nearby or company that can do it for you. I've sent out emails to loads in our area, being in Lincolnshire, and found two viable options. Actually gone to see one of them in person. They were doing a V8 Defender when we got there, which was perfect. We got to see the quality of the material, and we've decided to go with that. And to be honest, the dealerships themselves that is selling us this vehicle have actually suggested that we've made the right choice. They've said, for lack of a better description, it does kind of get whacked on when it's getting made, so it's not really one of the things they pay a lot of attention to. And when you're looking at PPF, I've found out it's quite important to make sure it's kind of wrapped around the edges, ideally under the badges, and that just avoids it ever peeling off or getting lasting longer. Aftermarket, they normally come up with a 10-year lifetime warranty, and they have all the healing properties as well, so that if it's in the sun, so probably not in the UK, but if you park the Defender in the sun and you've actually got a surface scratch in the material itself, it would self-healing, which is really, really cool. Price-wise, the same, but you get more. So really good investment, really worth looking into, but possibly not getting from Land Rover directly. Roof colors, so obviously you can see, you can have a body colored roof, you can see it there, sort of, yeah, body colored roof there, which looks quite cool. From above it looks really cool, but we are loving the whole black contrast, black and Gondwana stone, so we went with the black roof. And then you've got the tow bar options, so no tow bar, detachable tow bar, electric deployable tow bar. As for capabilities, to the best of my knowledge, they both can take the same amount of weight. The electric tow bar, deployable one, is just like a fancy gimmick in a way. It does tuck away really nicely, so you don't have to have it out all the time and accidentally knock your knee on it. But then with the detachable one anyway, you can do the same. It just means you have to get out and detach it yourself. For the small price difference, and considering we've gone with tow bar package later on, we have ended up going with the electrically deployable tow bar. Quick one about the configurator and how stressful it can be is that as you go along, as you select certain things, it kicks certain other things off. Spoken with the dealerships themselves, and you can't do anything about it. You just have to try and navigate through the system to get what you want without losing the other bits that you've already added on. So we found the perfect options for us, but it took some research, some ChatGPT conversations, but we eventually got there. But just keep that in mind that when it does say it's going to kick those things off, it will. We've gone with the extended black pack for $99.75. You can get glossy black bonnet lettering, tailgate lettering, and front and rear skid pans. So I'm assuming it's these ones here, which is a big deal for us. So yeah, the price isn't cheap, but it's a big deal for us. And going with the whole black contrast theme, we have gone with that exterior pack. Wheel sizes. So again, I've been back and forth on what to do, not knowing too much, not knowing everything about cars basically. I just know that for off-roading I wanted the smallest wheel I could get possible, but also it's got to fit on the brake calipers and everything. So I did look at the 19s, but with regards to availability of tyres aftermarket and wanting off-road tyres, 20s are easier to get. And I was looking at possibly for off-roading buying our own set of new rims for off-roading anyway. So I wasn't too fussed on making sure they are as small as possible to benefit off-roading when I'm possibly going to buy at a later stage our own set of off-road rims and tyres and all that. So we've gone with the 20s. 22s look great, but for off-roading capabilities, I've seen some videos of people doing off-roading with them, and it does really well because, you know, it relies on Land Rover's terrain response system anyway. That's what makes the Defender so capable. One of the reasons. So it does really well, but you've got less sidewall, and when you're trying to do a little bit of rock crawling and that little bit of extra sidewall can make all the difference. Annoyingly, they don't come black, and we want them black. But it's all about asking questions and finding the right dealership. We've gone to the dealership and asked them, and they are going to get these coated black for us, done properly. Because you can select that black option, but we don't like the look of those. We prefer the 5-spoke. And then tyres, gone with the all-terrain tyres. Again, even though we might get a new set of tyres and rims afterwards, it won't be straight away. Obviously this is not going to be cheap, so it's probably not going to be straight away. So we thought, well, let's go with all-terrain tyres, and I've done some research on them and seen them in action, and they're good. They are really good, and they have a good combination between off-road capability and on-road capability. For the 6-month trip is going to be good. So there we go. We got developed with Goodyear. The Wrangler all-terrain adventure tyre provides confidence in all conditions. There you go. Good to know that with those tyres as well, it increases your roof weight capacity as well, up to the Defender's max, which is quite good. I think it's 168 kilograms. I don't know if you work in kilos or not, but I prefer to work in kilograms, so I think it's 168 kilograms, which works within our budget because we've already bought our roof tent so far. We've got to consider the roof rack, and we also want an awning. Spare wheel covers. So my partner wants that on Defender. So you can see here's the first, it starts kicking stuff off. This is okay because it's just a wheel lock that comes with it. Basically, you need a 3-wheel lock on the back so that the cover can fit on. It's basically just a lock that sits over the spare wheel at the back, over the holes where you put the bolts in. So you got the 5, which looks better if you've got the exposed wheel. But when you've got the cover on, obviously the wheel's not exposed. So it only covers only 3 holes, the lock, because then the other 2 holes are used for the cover to slot on. That's from my understanding. So moving on to seat configuration. So you got a 5, 6 or 7 seat configuration, which is quite cool. At least you've got options, especially in that size. I think the 5 or the 7 is really what you're going to go for. The 6 includes front jumper seat. So I'm assuming that is in the middle between the driver and the passenger. We've had that on one vehicle, family vehicle in the past, and it's okay, but it's mostly used to store like your bag or a drink or something like that. Not really used as for a person as often, and I feel like that just takes away all the cool storage bits and pieces in the center island. I've not seen it in the showrooms. I can't give an honest opinion on if I'd ever go with it or not, but I think I'd avoid it. But yeah, you've got 5 plus 2, so 7 seats, which includes a third row. I think this is quite a cool option. So bam, here's one of those things. So the changes to the build, where was it? So went there, it says cool, it's only $2,000 to add this. Then you click on it and it's like, oh, by the way, it's actually £3,600. And that's because with the configurator, to have the seats and the third row, you have to have all these extra bits and pieces. So it looks like the hefty price here. So it looks like with the family pack, you get all these bits included, the 2020, which is great. But then you have to add the air suspension pack, which I don't know the ins and outs of why, but because I'm sure you can have 7 people in the car with the coil springs and it will still be fine. I've just got a feeling it's with their production line, it's just how it works. It's why it's like a bit difficult to work with. And then it shows you what it gets rid of. Yeah, don't charge for getting rid of anything. But yeah, so if that is an option, it is a cool one to consider. I've had a look. There isn't much leg room in the third row, and you do lose your boot space. But when you're fitting 3 rows in this size vehicle, that's kind of standard. So, I mean, if you got a roof rack, throw it on the roof. So I do think it is worth considering if you do want to have that many people in there, and we really did consider it because the third row folds down really nicely and it's flush and it's flat, which is really, really cool. The reason we went against it is because the occasions when we're going to have 7 people in the car is very few. We don't have kids yet. We will in the future, but hopefully not 5. So they should fit in the 5, with 5, maximum 5 of us. We had 3 kids, and then we still have the boot space, which is great, and the roof rack. So it is practical, but it's not a 3-row vehicle for a long road trip at all. Just kind of short trips. I think it's perfect for that. So if you do want that extra row, and like I said, it does, when the third row is folded down, it's as if it's not there at all. Still got that same boot space, but when the seats are up, the boot space does drop to basically nothing. You can put a handbag in there. It's not deep at all. It's probably a foot deep, and then you've got the height. But yeah, you do lose a lot of space when you've got the third row open. But if you wanted the third row, I would look at the 130 because then it's just a perfect choice. There's loads of leg room in the back. They also fold down really well. But we've gone with the 5-seater because we also not only price, we want to use the money elsewhere, but we also, with the 5-seater, there is some space under the flooring, and we want to utilize that for possibly a dual battery system. So that's kind of why we've gone down this avenue. And then your trim levels. So with the HSE, you automatically get the Windsor leather, and then you get to pick different types of leather colors for the interior. So the resist is slightly, it's not really leather as far as I know. It's more of a material. It is quite good, but we have 2 vehicles, one with and one without leather, and we do love the leather interior. And it's going to get treated and everything, so it comes with a lifetime treatment, so that stains and that just won't happen, hopefully. But yeah, if we go to the interior and we click on the color, we should actually see what it looks like. It does cost a little bit to change. Yeah, so if you didn't choose the HSE model and you chose the SE model, you'd come with, I think you get the resist on the SE, and then obviously it costs a lot more to change. I think it costs a few grand to change to the leather option, but when you go with HSE, you've already got it. So yeah, it's an interesting look. I don't hate it. I think it's quite nice. I like the contrast, and let you know that we've kind of ended up going with a mostly black setup and inside, just to minimize any stains or anything like that. Yeah, I don't know what we expect to be doing you know, with the fact that we think, oh, you know, going with a colourful interior is going to be a bad idea. Yeah, I was just like, to avoid mud. So I don't know if we plan to drive through mud puddles with the windows open and it's all going to come in, but we've ended up going with the black anyway. So look at the grey. See, then it takes away the Gondwana stone exterior. Don't know why. Why does it have to do that? And it changes the headlining. So it does go cheaper. That's because I lose that. And probably something else somewhere that I'm not aware of. But yeah, so do be careful when you are doing changes and make sure you're not losing stuff that you thought was important to you. Sometimes it removes stuff that you're not phased about, which is great. And you can upgrade your interior to a higher standard of leather or ultra fabric. I mean, out of interest, adds £3,100 and a few other bits. Again, can't just, oh, there we go, ultra fabric signature interior pack. So about £3,000 just for the upgraded leather, and then they charge you a bit more because they've got heated rear seat with winged headrest. At least it gives you a lay down, but then you also lose a few bits. Leather steering wheel, yeah. You lose the colour again, why? Anyway, we're not going with that. The headlining, we've stayed the same. You can go lighter, but we've had a look at that in person. I felt like the lighter one, the slightly cheaper look in person, but in this it looks quite nice, the contrast. But yeah, I think we went with the darker one anyway. There we go, slightly lighter, removes a bunch of stuff. There we go. So, moving on to other packs. So we've gone and selected this one. So this is the air suspension pack, which I feel should be standard anyway. At least it gives people the option, because some people don't like air suspension, and you know it's got a bad rep here and there. Out of research, Land Rover's air suspension has been relatively good. Everything's going to have its downsides, and it's going to have that unlucky customer that has a bad experience. But a lot of Land Rover's vehicles do have air suspension anyway, and their system's quite good, and most of them on the road have got air suspension anyway. And when you see the benefits, especially for off-road capabilities of the vehicle being able to raise itself up and get you, I think it's about 11.5 inches of clearance, it's impressive, and it does make a difference. And then you're not also stuck with that. I mean, you could just have coil springs and get it raised up aftermarket, but then you're stuck with it being that height all the time. Whereas this can drop down, make it accessible when you've got family, jumping in and out, also more aerodynamic. Yeah, so it's a great option. I think price change is not, I think that's quite reasonable, to be fair. When you are looking at buying a new Defender, it's reasonable. And then, yeah, so for the next few packs, you've got a few coming over here. And we have selected the towing pack. So for a few reasons. So with the towing pack, you actually get all the features of the advanced off-road pack, plus the electrical deployable tow bar, and a nifty system that can assist you in towing. Not that most people need it that want to tow, but it's a cool option. There is a video online about it. Advanced Tow Assist allows you to reverse the trailer while Defender takes care of the counter steering, which is cool. It's gimmicky, but really cool, and I love tech. So, I mean, it comes included. I wouldn't get it for that reason, but basically when I've watched it, you line it all up, you've got the trailer on, basically you want to reverse park the trailer, you kind of set it up on the screen, and then all you do is control the speed. The Defender does the steering for you to get it perfectly in the spot, which I definitely will be testing out at some point when we get that far, because that's quite cool. When I've seen it on the video online, on YouTube, it was great. It worked perfectly, and the people that were in it, I think it was a Top Gear video, UK Top Gear one, and they were impressed, but you can do it yourself. You don't have to use it. I've gone for this because I originally selected the electrical deployable tow bar, which I thought was cool, and we're definitely going to use. And you can see it's approved for up to 3.5 tons. You know, that's a lot. Consider if you did go for the electrical variant, you do lose a little bit there, but that's a significant amount. You know, it's going to be able to tow pretty much anything you want. But yeah, so the important part here is why I did select this pack and didn't just stick with the electrical tow bar, was that price-wise, you end up having the all-terrain ATPC option as well as terrain response too. So it's worth Googling it and finding out what it is. But if you're going to do anything off-road, yes, you need it. It's great. You don't need it. Sorry, I don't mean to say need it, but if you're going to go off-road with Defender, you might as well have it. What does it say here? So you got your all-terrain progress control. It's a state-of-the-art system that enables you to set and maintain a steady speed in challenging conditions such as slippery surface, including, really cool little function. And then this is a good one, the terrain response too. That's something you want. It's Land Rover's award-winning system. I have not got a script to read from for this, so I hope it all makes sense. When you saw this option, you saw ATPC and terrain response 2, electrical deployable tow bar, and a trailer assist for 2285. But for $1,000 here, so you'd have to pay £1,000 just to get terrain response 2 and your ATPC and your configurable terrain response. So you're paying $1,000 here, and then electrical tow bar was like 1,000 something. So you're looking at 22. And then the towing pack is 2285. This is just rough. It probably is exactly the same, but just in case it's not, possibly for 80 quid more, you're getting the advanced tow assist. So yeah, it's just, so that was one I took a bit of research, deciding, I was like, oh, why wouldn't it let me get the advanced tow pack? Because that sounds like I need it, it's advanced. And then I did the research, and it was just a way of adding these extra options that already come with the towing pack. So, and you'll see, if I went to select advanced off-road pack, removes the tow pack. So that's what got me doing the research. So you've got family pack and family comfort pack. These, as you can see, is manual third row seats. So this is a pack where it'll add the third row seat and a variety of other little options. Because in the third row, you can have heated seats. I think you can have like charging ports, cup holders. They can have their own climate control. So you can really go all out. Which I thought, like, if you have the 130 and you're going to use that third row more often because it's more spacious, then yes. But for us, also we haven't gone with a third row, not really for us. So there you go, you got manual heated third row seats, which is quite cool. I never thought heated seats were a thing until I came to the UK, and then I had them in the car. Partner got them in the car. He was like, we have to have them. I said, all right. Now I use it all the time. Keep your bum warm. It's nice. Off-road pack is a yes. Reason for this for me is that EAD, electronic active differential with torque vectoring. This is something I've chosen to go with. It's not something you have to go with because you have to pay extra. But yeah, it's quite cool. Obviously to bring the differential in and out as well, which can be beneficial off-roading. And then it adds a domestic plug socket. So I think it's right at the back in the boot. You can add that later if you didn't choose this pack, but it comes with it, so bam, got it. Cool. You see our Defender image has disappeared. We no longer have a Defender now. Then this is dragging on a little bit, but we are getting to the last bits and pieces. So I'm slowly losing my voice, so I do apologize. And if you're still with me, thanks. And I hope you're enjoying it and seeing how interesting it is and how it all lays out. But yeah, I'm doing this all in one sitting, so it is a bit of a long one. But yeah, if you have any questions or want to zip through the video, it's a bit late now to say it. But yeah, I hope it's going well. Anyway, so we've got our options. So we've designed most of it. This is our ideal Defender right now. Why is the pictures gone? Give me a picture back. No. Moving on. Roof rails. So obviously all these options are here, but when you click on the first one, it does allow you to go through them all in one go. So you don't have to jump in and out. So we'll start at the top. So these are still how it comes out of the factory. So what I've found out is this point is still how it's going to come. So we'll go to a dealer and order it with them. But everything up, including this part, is all how it comes out of the factory. And then any accessories like raised air intake or a winch, they actually get done by the dealer themselves afterwards. So black roof rails or without roof rails. Considering there's no price option, I always go for getting more for the same value. So yeah, if you're going to install a roof rack like we are, we're going with a large front runner, you actually have to get these black roof rails taken out. But I thought for the fact that we might get to a point when we come back where we don't want to use a roof rack anymore and we take it off for a long period of time. We like the black contrast look. So if we ended up with not having a roof rack on top, I think having the black roof rails stored away somewhere is a good option. The fact that it doesn't cost any more. Yeah. So for some reason it's £155 to change this little square box block paintwork on the side. Not what we're going for, so no thank you. Left it as is. Solar attenuating windscreen. So this is helpful with sound dampening as well as keeping the heat out of the vehicle. Considering we'll be on the road and we'll probably crack the windscreen at some point, and that means it's going to be more expensive and harder to get windscreen, and it probably won't be solar attenuating again. We've done away with that. Yeah, it's not, for me, it wasn't a thing that, oh my gosh, if I don't get it now, I can never get it in the future. And that's a big part of this for me, was the case of, I want to make sure I design it exactly how we'd like to have it, as reasonably cheap as possible, and not regret it. You know, so we don't want to not get something on it that we can then never change. It's a whole benefit of designing a new one. Yes for this. Headlight power wash is a yes, which can be handy when you're driving in snow and mud and the lights get messy or dirty, and you can use it. Bit gimmicky, but for 200 quid I was like, oh, why not? We will be doing driving through snow in Norway, and there will be mud involved at some point when we go back down south. So yeah, I thought it was a good option to go for. Then we got your seat options. So these titles do take some reading because they all look very similar. But cabin walkthrough, so you've got the central section there where you've got no armrest. I don't know why you'd want that option, to be honest. I will judge you if you pick that. I've done most of the deciding and the researching on this vehicle. My partner's one contribution so far has been, I want a fridge in the central console to store my Red Bulls. So for £470, I couldn't say no. Considering that's all he wanted, and I wanted a £8,000 winch. So yes, I think it was a fair trade. So he has got his fridge in the middle. I can put my drink in there as well. It can hold about 8 cans, so 4 at the bottom and then 4 on top of that. And it's got 3 settings on, like cold and then super cold. And it cools down really quickly. It's really nifty little fridge compartment. So it's quite good value for money really, if you want a fridge. Then you've got your seat configuration. So you can see some are already selected, and that'd be because of the HSE model. So we've already got 14-way heated and cooled electric memory front seats. So earlier when I said we had those heated seats, we've got them, but they're also cooled as well, which is quite cool. Cool. And they electric memory seats. So as per being Land Rover, being fancy, when you get in and you push your setting or you use your key fob or your profile, it'll adjust your steering column, your seat and your settings on all the tech to your profile, which it's gimmicky. You don't need it, but also you need it. Like you need it. We need it. And then you've got your different folding patterns. So we've got the 40, 20, 40, which just basically means that the 3 seats in the middle row, they all fold down. So we are actually going with that option. We thought it'd be nice to give the middle row heated seats. And your third row, no. Rightio, so with the seats chosen, we are onto interior features. So cabin preconditioning with remote fob. If pressing a button is something that you think is worth £1,300, please go for it. That is perfectly fine. What I have been told is that by the dealership themselves, that you can do this all on the Land Rover app. So you can connect your phone to your Land Rover and do it on the app. So to save yourself that, I mean, I've yet to try it, and I don't know if that was just a sales technique, but also they weren't selling us, they were getting us not to spend money. So yeah, I assume they were being honest. Then we've got 3-zone climate control. So I'm highlighting that one first because I know that's what we want. We want to be able to allow the passengers to control their climate, and then so the idea is when it says 3, it's going to have passenger, driver, passenger, and then middle seats, or rear seats in this case, because we don't have a third row. If we click on it though, it should add the air quality sensor and the air purification plus. Stuff that I wasn't too worried about, but can't not add if I want that option. I did some research into rear cool assist, asked ChatGPT, and it's basically just saying that it is a slightly more advanced cooling system so that the back third row, if you had a third row, gets cooler air quicker. So we've got leather steering wheel, standard non-leather steering wheel, and non-leather steering wheel. So we've got the leather one anyway, so we've gone with that because that comes standard with the HSE. If we hadn't chosen HSE, that would be it. We'd have to pay to get that option. With or without heads-up display, again a techie option. However, the heads-up display is really cool. It's a yes from me. I've seen it in action. I've driven a 110 Defender with heads-up display off-road on a experience day, which is also worth doing if you're considering. I think it's like £150, and they take you out for an hour or two, and they take you off-road and show you what the vehicle's capable of. And it's something you actually get when you buy a new Land Rover. You get a full day experience where someone will take you to one of their experience day locations across the UK, and they'll spend the day showing you how it works, but if you don't already know, and if you do know, kind of helping you hone your skills, just showing you what your vehicle is capable of, which I think is quite cool. Or no, I think you get half a day, and then the guy that we saw suggested paying for another half a day, and then you get a full day. I think it's well worth the grand. My partner Josh said, is it? It is. It definitely is. The dealership also let me know that having this or not having this doesn't affect your emergency data system that comes with the Land Rover. So you've got like an SOS and a breakdown button or a crash detection. So little things, this is one thing about Land Rover I think is quite interesting. There's a lot that they don't actually put on the screen when you're designing it. There's a lot that your money does buy, a lot of safety features that it does buy that unless you really look into, you don't know. So yeah, sorry, that Wi-Fi enabled data plan doesn't affect your emergency system, which comes built in, so that if you are in an accident or you need help and you push the button, it will connect through. You don't have to have that data plan for that to work. You got a garage door opener, home link. If we don't have a garage, and because we're selling the house, we're not sure what we're going to get when we come back, so not necessary for us. However, the clear side interior rear view mirror, there's a little story behind that one because I've wanted one for ages, but we bought the Evoque. It was meant to come with one. We bought it second hand and they advertised, and that was the reason we chose this one. One of the reasons. We're like, yes, it's coming with us, it's cool, you know, bam, it comes built in, gotta have it. And then it didn't come with it because it's the first one we bought online, but we bought the car online without actually seeing it in person. You have your 14-day return policy, whatever, but yeah, it's not easy. Returning a car is not the same as returning a t-shirt you don't like. So long story short, we ended up getting some money knocked off it, but we didn't have the interior clear side interior rear view mirror installed, which was quite sad, and doing it off the market was costly, nearly £2,000 if you wanted it. And with the Evoque being as small as it is, it wasn't needed. However, in this scenario, when you've got a Defender and it's a bit bigger than the Evoque, you know, 5-seater or the 130, or you've got 7 people in the back of your 110, either configuration, or you've got a 5-seater and you've got the boot maxed out, full to the brim, you can't see out the back, which is 90% of the time what it's going to be like for us on our road trip. And your side mirrors are great, but I don't know how you feel as a driver, but I use my rear view mirror very, very often to know what's going on around me, and I feel it's vital to have it. So this clear sight rear view mirror is quite handy, and if you don't know what it is, it's basically a camera, a high quality camera that gets installed into the fin on the top rear of the Defender's roof. Basically your radio antenna, it gets fitted in a little camera, and basically your interior rear view mirror, you can flick on and off between camera mode or standard mirror mode. And it comes with a variety of different settings. You can change the brightness, alter dim, vice versa. It's a really cool piece of kit, and considering the price of everything else on the Defender you can add, I think $630 is not a bad price. We've already got the electronic active differential torque with torque vectoring. Gosh, you would swear English isn't my first language. Love how they always put the V8 as the picture icon. Those quad exhaust pipes are awesome. So we've already been through that, so we've got that, it's already there, that's why I show 0, because we've already selected it in our tow pack. The adaptive road cruise control. I've not selected this for 2 reasons. 1, if you select it, it kicks off your towing pack. And 2, I don't think it adds enough to consider losing all the other bits. Like if you select it, you can see it wants to remove your towing pack, and that takes off terrain response 2, ATPC, the torque vectoring, as well as your electrical deployable tow bar and your tow assist. So you're losing quite a lot. Even though it says, oh, it's just taking off the tow pack. Just remember that tow pack came with a lot in it, and I haven't yet tried to add them elsewhere. But yeah, so it wasn't worth it for me. It's a new edition with the 2026. They've added that option. So yeah, I'd look into it if it's something you're considering, but not for me. So that brings us to a close on everything from the factory that can be added. So it's been a fair while, but we're going on to the last few bits, and that is your accessories. So these accessories, from what I've been told, is everything that gets fitted at the dealership once you order it. So how we've chosen to do this is we've designed it on this configurator online, and then we've gone to a dealership and then designed it again to mimic what we did with them. And that gave us negotiation power and to bring the price down. Obviously, if you order it online and you have the money, by all means, please go for it. I wish I was you. Then you can just purchase it as is, but there's no discount. But if you actually go into the dealership, you can get quite a bit off. Considering how expensive the vehicle is, you can get a fair bit off, and they sometimes can throw in little bits and pieces. We've had a discussion with one of the dealerships, and they've thrown in doing the treatment for the interior of the vehicle for free, because we don't want it on the outside. So yeah, they can work with you. Obviously they want your business, so they're more likely to help you out. But if you have the money and you're happy to just purchase it, or you like the satisfaction of walking in and just saying, I want that one, let's take it, and you can do that, yeah, do it. That must be fun. So accessories, so stuff that can be added technically afterwards because it's already been built, it comes out. Fixed side step, this deployable side step that comes in and out, so it's quite, I've seen it on 1 or 2 of the vehicles. When you open the door, it'll pop out, the side steps will pop out so you can stand on. Do you need side steps on the Defender? If you've got the air suspension and you have it set up so that every time you turn the vehicle off or stop, it brings it down to access height, no, you can get in and out all right. But when it's not, you do fall out, and I've done it. When we test drove the most recent one, and it was at its max suspension height, well, just below its max, because it wasn't off-road mode, it was just a heightened mode. I did nearly fall out. I did have to do that jump thing, and I'm not the shortest person either. Yeah, so they are worth having. The reason we are not choosing them is because we are doing this off the market, not because of the side steps. Too expensive, we don't like them. Side steps are only load bearing in one way, and they can only take a certain amount of weight. So when you're standing on them, they can take the weight, downwards weight, but they can't take the weight from beneath up. Example, if we are driving over a rock and the body of the vehicle falls and hits a rock, those side steps are gonna not do much. They're probably gonna bend and end up damaging the vehicle itself. So if off-roading is, or the type of off-roading we plan to do, where you have a chance of actually having a rock come in between the wheels so much that it could scratch or damage your Defender or your side steps, it might be worth looking into rock sliders, which is what we're going to do. So they can take the weight of the entire vehicle on these bars, and they're obviously well constructed so that if you need to slide on a rock, hence rock sliders, it's not going to damage your vehicle. It's just going to scratch the shit out of those bars, but it's going to keep you well protected. They're not going to crumble and bend and end up damaging your vehicle at all. So hence rock sliders, because if you ever watch some really great off-road videos, you'll see, the drivers won't even care if they hit the rock. They know they're protected. It will just slide on and allow the vehicle to continue. So hence the long story on why we're not getting side steps. Haven't decided on this urban bonnet detailing. We think we're probably going to get a solar panel put on there instead. However, what we have gone for is raised air intake. This does not improve your wading depth. This is just to keep the air that's coming into the engine cleaner if you are driving on a dirty road, or if you're in convoy or in the desert. That's kind of where it really shines. It's just to have a higher level, a higher level where it's drawing the air in. So when you have dust that's stirred up from the vehicle in front of you, it kind of is more likely to say hit the bonnet height where your air intake would be, versus hitting your roof height. So it just allows a cleaner air. Classic mud flaps, we've said yes to that. So earlier you saw it was in one of the packs, so we've selected this separately now. As well as the gloss black wheel arch protection, we selected that separately. I'm still looking into possibly getting it done aftermarket, even though we're in the queue for our Defender. We still have time to change our stuff if we want. The dark rear scuff plate and bright rear scuff plate. Wish they showed you pictures. Yeah, so I think we are doing that aftermarket. I think I found it for 150 quid aftermarket. So that basically, when you open the door, it sits on because the bumper extends out and creates like a little flat platform. It sits on top of that. So when you're loading and unloading, you're not scratching the bumper, you're rather scratching this plate that sticks on. So we're leaving that for now. And then, as we mentioned earlier in the video, all these extra add-ons we are not going for. You've got the cool Expedition roof rack, which does look great. You can see how it makes space around that fin, which if you've gone for the clearer side rear view option would be where your camera's in. We are going for an aftermarket roof rack. And for the ladders, and that we're not going with. Any options here you'd like, feel free. You can even add your air compressor, portable rinse system aftermarket if you want. We have gone with the deep side rubber mats. So the Defender itself actually comes with a rubber floor interior anyway, so you could basically jet wash it out, which I think is really cool. It just kind of throws back to has a little throwback to what the Defender originally was designed for, even though the new one's totally different from the old. So I don't even think you can compare them really. It's a totally different ball game and a different set of clientele. But I think it's quite cool. It's got that rugged feature anyway. And then these are extra mats that go on top of that, and they fit perfectly. We've had a look, and it's not even worth trying to do them aftermarket. We end up paying more. So for 200 quid, they can basically just slot them in and out. And that way, it just makes it easier to clean. So you're not actually jet washing the inside of your Land Rover very often. And then we've got our winch mounting kits. So this is a hefty accessory. I don't think many people will consider it or go for it that are looking at buying a new Defender, unless it's really something you want to use. It is something we really are going to use, so it's something we've really had to do a lot of research in and budget for and look into doing. We can get certain things done aftermarket, but because we can't buy the vehicle outright, putting in a big deposit down, we can't afford to have big costs like this after we've got the Defender and paid the deposit, and then have to put 4 or 8 grand down out of nowhere straight after we've just bought the car to get these add-ons. We need this to be a part of finance. So that's a very honest opinion from us. So we've had to do it through Land Rover. As for the difference between the two, knowingly, on the 130 you can have one and not the other, but on the 110 for some reason on the configurator you cannot. And I have inquired about this and I'm still waiting to hear back, but dealers that we spoke to in person said it is what it is, you can't change it, it's how it comes. But considering this stuff is done by the dealership, we are still looking into that. But there we go, so you've got the winch mounting kit. So the winch mounting kit isn't the winch at all, it is changing the front bumper and design of the vehicle to be able to house the winch, which is 3,700 pounds. That is the option that you can choose on the 130 without it automatically, as you can see, automatically adding the remote winch. There we go. So you see it automatically adds both when you're doing the 110 design. You can kind of see in this image here that you can see it's got more of an aggressive front bumper in a way. I am South African and living in the UK find it really frustrating. I understand the idea behind it, but you can't really get aftermarket legally, use aftermarket bumpers. Australia and South Africa for the new Defender have some awesome front bumpers, which I would love, that would protect this whole bottom section here. You'd basically cut it all out and put a whole new bumper in there, which would then hold your winch, and you can mount cool things on the top, big aerials and lights, and it just looks amazing and aggressive. But to be able to afford this Defender, I'm living in the UK, we're at work, so I'd love to go back home, but if I was back home, I wouldn't be able to buy a Defender, that's for sure. So unfortunately, with the UK regulations, this is the best they can do for a bumper, or a bull bar, could you say. So that's what you get. So it looks mean. As for practicality, if you had to hit anything, it does still crumble, and that's the whole point, is that it's safer for if you had to hit a person or an animal. It's designed to crumble better, whereas obviously if you've got one of the aftermarket bull bars from down south, they're not designed like that. You can drive through a wall. So yeah, so I understand why we have to stick with this regulation, but it's just frustrating you couldn't get the cool design and the cheaper aftermarket options rather than the really expensive Defender option. But yeah, this makes space for the winch, and you can see it has a nice little cutout, and that's basically what that provides you with when you go for the winch mounted kit. It is a whole new bumper in the front. And then the included remote control electric winch is a 10,000 pounds in pulling weight worn winch. It's Platinum Evo, I think. The clip on it should give us more detail. No, not Evo, Platinum. Yeah, Platinum 10S, the Xeon worn winch. Worn, I'd like to say I'm not a mechanic, but from research and past experience, I have owned a few winches before on previous vehicles back in South Africa, and Worn is a good brand. It is a higher end brand, so it's always going to have a bigger price tag. It's like buying an Apple in a way. Great products, but they're always, they're more expensive than they need to be. So Worn is, I feel like, a little bit of the same, but you can nearly always guarantee good quality, reliability, as well as coming with good warranties and stuff. This particular Platinum Xeon is also IP rated, so it can work underwater if it needs to, because obviously the Defender has a 90 centimeter wading depth, something like that, just under a meter wading depth, so that would be fully submerged. So if you are in that situation and you are stuck and you need the winch to work, you've got to have one that can operate underwater, not only just go underwater but actually operate underwater. So this one can, from the research I've done. So here you've got at the bottom, Australia and South Africa only, winch mounting kit is not required for fitment if bull bar already fitted. So unfair, but at least they're telling you outright. So yeah, if we were in South Africa and Australia and we got our own bull bar fitted, which we would be doing, if I ever move back, gonna get rid of this highly expensive one I've had to put on and get a proper bull bar put on. Because again, you don't want to, but if you hit an animal, it's gonna ruin, you're gonna have to have the whole front of the car down, which costs a fortune. Thanks for insurance, but yeah, it's gonna cost a fortune, whereas if you had a proper bull bar, you'd be fine. And the animal wouldn't, unfortunately, but they wouldn't either way. At least you wouldn't have damaged your £100,000 car. This £4,682 gives you the winch, the harness, and the synthetic rope. So synthetic rope is more expensive than wire, but yeah, obviously you've got the installation costs. I've had a look, and the 4.6 is a little bit more expensive than if you had to, for example, buy the exact winch aftermarket and then pay for it being installed. But that kind of brings us to a close. So we are sitting at 100 grand, £100,000. After some negotiation, we were able to get us to a little bit cheaper, and we made a few adjustments here and there. But yeah, if you were designing a very capable, I'm annoyed that the photo's gone now. But if you're designing an extremely capable Land Rover Defender, the new one, and you want all the tricks it's got, it's going to cost you around 100 grand for a new one. I mean, if you took the winch off, it takes you down to 92 straight away. Just didn't want to winch at all. So that sounds, I don't know if that sounds better, but it probably is. But it shows you how easily you can go from your starting price of 60 grand up to 100. And then if you went and threw it into an X model, you're going to easily talk well over that, which we've done just for the fun of it. or you can be brave and start with your Defender Octa at 148 grand, which I haven't even looked at because I think it's just scary prices for us. But yeah, this is our dream. So this is how we're making a reality. And we are very much aware that it's not a cheap one, hence all the effort and that we're putting into selling a house and getting stuff ready and saving for this to happen, and why we couldn't do it straight away. And also, we are 5 years down the line getting the 2026 model, and that means they've worked out some of the kicks. We are getting the slightly larger Pivy Pro screen inside and a few upgrades, and they're fixing the headlights for a change, changing the rear headlights a little bit, and they've changed with the transmission and just neatened it up a little bit. So that was the benefit of having to wait and having to save, is that, you know, they've worked out more of the kinks and fine-tuned the engines, and we know a bit more about the reliability of the engines now and which ones are more reliable, hence our choices as well. So I think it's all worked out. If you are interested in seeing us get the Defender, and when the day comes, you know, stay tuned for more, and eventually we will be posting about the road trip and where we go from there. But yeah, thanks for watching. I was going to say something else. What else was I going to say? If you have any questions or any comments or disagree, put them in the comments. Go for it. I'm more than open to having a conversation about it. Like I said, it's been my passion over the nearly 2 years looking into this, and yeah, I'm very open-minded to the opinions of the new Defender. But we're the ones spending the money.